Welcome to another edition of AV Rant. I'm Tom Andry, and I am here with
Rob H. This is AV Rant. It's your home theater and AV questions answered. And it is now warm enough in Vancouver that I'm running a fan. So folks who are watching the YouTube video, if you hear a little bit of humming noise and a constant drone going on behind me, that's what it is. It's my little fan keeping me cool. That'll be
keeping you cool.
Noise filtered out in the audio only version. So, watch it twice.
Yeah, my wife has been, I don't know what her deal is, but she has really been on an AC kick. Usually she's like, no, we can't turn the AC on. But right now she wants it on all the time. So she's getting hot at night. So it's been like a meat locker in here, which is good because it's going to get hot in this room too. So I'm excited about that. Now, to address the dude who's seriously concerned that I have not done the SVS review yet. Still have not done the SVS.
Oh, I see.
It's
might have come in handy this week too.
It's not a personal affront against you. It's not like something like that. It's not it. What's happening is I got no time. I tried. I really tried, but I have no time. Last week, my family ate nothing all week. I mean, they ate, but I had to I had a freezer shop all week because I didn't cook last weekend because we had like this party that we had at my friend's house. And this week, I was like, I'm determined to cook for them. But then we ended up we ended up going to a crawfish boil, which is one of my favorite things in the whole world. And one of the few things I really, really miss about living in Mississippi was crawfish. So many crawfish. But so we went there, and that blew my entire Saturday out. And I just haven't had time. So I'm sorry. I will do it. I promise. It is on my list. I actually have another speaker to review as well. That's just like a portable speaker that I haven't even opened. it. It's
even
still
like
in the
delaying to keep a review sample. It's like you haven't even listened to them. You're like enjoying to them and pretending not to do it so you can keep them long. It's like nope.
The Prime speakers are right there. I could turn that. So if you're watching the video, there is the Prime speaker right there. That's it. That's what it looks like. It's black. Okay. All right, there it goes.
Yeah, it's a black box.
So, and yes, I'm still having issues with my computer monitor here on this laptop, so I'm debating on what to do. I finally got a hold of somebody, and they were like, $200 just to look at it. I'm like, just to look at it? Like, well, if it costs any extra, if we have to take out a bunch of screws, I'm like, you're gonna have to take out a bunch of screws.
Yeah, it's a laptop.
It's a laptop. So I took off the whole front, the whole bezel, and took the screen out and everything, and all the connections there are solid. Pretty sure it's not the GPU, which means it's a connection someplace in there, which means there's like 1,400 screws at the bottom of this thing, and they're different sizes, and you have to keep them all. I started taking it apart and got really freaked out, so I stopped taking it apart. And I am gonna have to try to do it, but I'm gonna try it this week, and that's one of the reasons why I probably won't do the review this week either. But I'm gonna try to do it this week and get that sorted out so that I can have this monitor fixed. And once this monitor is fixed, then we're gonna be truly set up for what I want to do with this podcast, which will be coming. Is it May yet? Is it May? It's May, right?
Not yet.
It's going to be next week. No, 2 weeks from now, it's going to be May. And in May, I want it to be a big change to the podcast.
Ooh, okay.
Don't worry about it. That all you podcast listeners who love 2 hours worth of us droning on about people's home theaters on your way to work, that will still be around. That will still happen. But I want there to be a change. And you can see that with the lights, and you can actually see me. And I have new logos and everything. Speaking of new logos.
Yes.
I went to a local place, and I got a T-shirt made. So this is my AV Rant T-shirt. It's got the little logo on the front, and on the back, I had them put the big logo.
The big logo, gotcha.
Along with the website down there, avrant.com. So it looks pretty good. I mean, it's called direct-to-garment. They dye it directly on there. So the way they do that is I don't know what they do. They do something magical, but it's got they got this printer, the special printer, and I guess they treat the shirt and then they spray the ink on there, and it doesn't bleed as much as it should. It's still bled a little bit from what I can see, but I think it looks pretty good considering.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's just so it was like $25 though because I got it should have been something like 20 or 18 or something, but then it was not. I don't know why. Because I think I had a logo on the front and the back. But anyways, so I haven't worn it yet. It's brand new. I just got it today. I haven't worn it yet. I'm saving it for a special occasion. It should have been this podcast, but I did. I wanted to show it to you, and I couldn't do that and wear it.
You'd have to stand up.
I have to stand up, and I'm sitting down. So, yes.
That's it.
Lots of stuff.
Yes.
Lots of stuff.
Preamble.
All right. So I will be reading the notes from my phone, There it is, my ginormous phablet. And so that's what I'll be doing today. So first of all, we want to thank our listeners of the week. We have Felipe, right?
It is Felipe.
He sent us a YouTube link so that we know how to say his name right, which was awesome.
Here's how you pronounced my name. That's good. That's very helpful.
Personally, I think that's very helpful. Yes, and not only that, I think Felipe is the preferred way I like to say his name. Because Philippe, which is okay, but I like Felipe, it sounds more, je ne sais quoi. I don't know, something like that. It sounds like.
Why'd you go French? It's Spanish.
Shut up. Who cares? I don't often pronounce my name Felipe, but when I do, I don't know. Whatever that is.
I do it in French.
I do it in French. En français. Anyways, Felipe Jefferson and Joseph, Greg, and Teddy all gave us donations.
Yeah.
They went to www.avrant.com and clicked on the Buy Us a Cup of Coffee link.
Is Teddy Ted? Teddy might be Ted? Because Ted said he sent in a donation, so that might be
I don't know. I just take the name from because PayPal sends me a thing. So maybe. I don't think it was.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Could be.
I don't know. Anyways, somebody. They all send donations. They did that by going to www.avrant.com, clicking on the Buy Us a Cup of Coffee link, and using a PayPal donation.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
So we got Felipe, Jefferson, Joseph, Greg, Ted/Teddy, maybe two different people. Anyway, hey, thank you all, gentlemen, for the donations.
Anyways,
so much appreciated.
Jefferson also supported the podcast by telling SVS that he bought 2 additional PC 13 Ultra subs
SP13.
SP. SP. They weren't the. Those are big. Oh, no, they're not that big.
No, they're the more compact of the Ultras.
Right.
The sealed boxes.
So.
2 more to add to the 2 he already had. He has 4 now.
Yeah, he had 2.
He has a question coming up later, which hopefully we'll get to. I think we should. It's pretty early on, so
we should.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. In the news this week,
contact info.
Contact info.
Yeah.
You're right. All right.
How the heck do people get in touch with us?
So this is a podcast that answers your home theater and AV questions. Get your questions answered. All you have to do is ask. You ask by emailing us at Rob at AVRant, Tom at AVRant, and most importantly, question at avrant.com.
Yes, somebody left us a voicemail asking if question@avrant.com was the correct place to send stuff, and it is. So, mystery caller who did not leave his name, and I assume it's one of the 2, because Austin, our producer, gets all of the things that get sent to question@avrant.com, and he's pretty good at forwarding them to Tom and myself so that we know stuff that's only sent to question@avrant.com as opposed to being sent to all 3 of our email addresses. So, he forwarded 2 this week. One person I'm pretty sure he got in touch with because he got a price range that wasn't originally there, and the other person I'm assuming is the fellow who called. But if it was not you, mystery caller, question@avrant.com is the correct place to send your questions.
We do have an offline rant line, 479. I don't remember. Anyways, it's on the website. You can go, and the Google Voice apparently still works. I'm always so excited when that happens. You can email us. Question is the way to go for sure, but you can email all 3 if you like. You go to www.avrant.com, leave us a comment. Go to facebook.com/avrantpodcast. It's all one word. For Facebook, our Facebook group, which we are pretty active at, there was a couple of posts this week that I noted. I don't know that. Did we respond to them? I started to respond to one of them, and I can't. Anyways, if you just leave us a question, so a lot of times we may not respond to you directly, but it just goes right into the question queue and ends up on the podcast, which, but a lot of times we do also answer you on Facebook. There was somebody on YouTube asking something.
Oh,
I don't remember what it was. It was something.
You get the YouTube alerts. I do not, so that's
I don't really get them. They just kind of show up. It just doesn't really.
In your myriad of emails that show up. So yeah.
I think one of the questions was, has he done the review of
SBS review? Yeah.
And I think one of the other ones says, how comes Tom's lighting is so bad? And that was before. So now it's better, I think, isn't it? I think so. I think you can see me.
He responded.
Right? I responded.
Tom responded.
Anyway, so and then you can Twitter at First Reflect for Rob, at AVRant_Tom for me, and at Austin TEN Pond for Austin if you want to make sure that your question at AVRant went through. Austin also has its own podcast, We Watch Movies. It's a podcast not about watching movies, but about very tiny screws. All the different types.
Sense.
Very handy. I've been listening to it lately just to get an idea of how to keep them sorted correctly. Apparently, it's not by size, it's by weight.
Okay.
I did not know that. but that's what they say.
I
That's
would
what
make
they-
a little
that's what they
placemat
recommend.
holder with a little map drawing of where everything went, and then that must stay separate so that I do not bump into it. I set little screws, tumbling everywhere.
Yes. Anyways, that's what they recommend. They're weird guys. Anyway, so let's get to the news here.
Yeah.
In the news this week, we've got NAB, National Association of Broadcaster Conference. Ang Lee, he's still directing stuff. The last time I remember him, what has he been directing? You probably don't know. Anyways, we should have.
Life of Pi.
Oh, that's right.
That's kind of recent.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Because the last thing I really remember him directing was that Hulk movie, which was awful.
Of all the things he's done, and Hulk is what you're going to remember him
It was because I was like excited about it, and I really did like the aesthetic of it, the comic book panel thing that was going on, and the Hulk scenes were awesome. The Hulk scene when he was throwing
all two of them.
Yes. Surprisingly devoid of Hulk in the Hulk
yes,
movie.
It really was.
Kind of seemed like that was the flaw in his little plan. I do like Jennifer Connelly in anything. I mean, I think I've seen everything she's done, just about, except for anything that has a description, a heartwarming tale. But yeah, I even saw the what's his name, the early movie when she was like 14 years old. It's a horror movie, D'Argento's movie about this phantasm or something, something. I don't remember. Anyways,
I was thinking like Labyrinth, but it's before
no,
that,
but I think it was before that. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, he's got an upcoming movie called Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk.
Yes.
It's the first full-length movie that's shot in and will be displayed in 120 hertz or frames per second. Shot natively in 3D as well. So
and it's 120 frames per second per eye. That's not like 60 frames per second per eye. And, therefore calling it a 120. It's like, no, it was two 120 frames per second cameras being shot simultaneously. So it is per eye. They're showing it at NAB. People are like, whoa. Things look very clear, like you can move the camera and things can zip around and things can move very quickly, and there is no blur whatsoever, which is of course the whole point. But then people say like, it kind of looks like a home video because it's got that very smooth non-movie looking thing. So it's a matter of taste.
When are we gonna get past that? When are we gonna get over that? I don't know.
I still find it weird. I know.
I still haven't seen the Hobbit movies because damn it, I cannot bring myself to watch the Hobbit movies. I can't do it. I've wanted to. I cannot. It's just so much. The book is this big. It's this big.
Yep.
It'd be a book. 3 movies.
But it was shot in 4K. It was shot with cameras that can capture high dynamic range. So at NAB, they're showing it on some Christie laser projectors, a pair of them, in Dolby 3D, which uses like red, green, blue on one, and then a slightly shifted red, green, blue on the second projector, and the glass is actually filtered by color, not by polarization.
Wow.
So that's how the Dolby 3D works. So yeah, they're saying basically these projectors don't have fantastic black levels and aren't really high dynamic range. So when this movie is actually theatrically shown, it'll be shown in Dolby cinemas. I think there's 15 of those right now in North America. And they'll be showing it at 60 frames per second per eye because the Christie laser projectors they have in the Dolby cinemas can't do 120 frames per second, like individually. So they'll be showing it at 60, but it should still be a lot smoother and clearer. Gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
There are 4 Avatar movies coming up. James Cameron announced that, so he's doing the high frame rate thing too.
I'm sure he is. God love him, James Cameron.
Yeah.
God love him. He gave us Aliens, right? Didn't he give us Aliens?
Aliens.
Aliens, yes.
Yeah.
Not the Ridley Scott Alien, but
right.
Aliens, which was a great action movie, which happened to be whatever.
And
Terminator
he gave us
2.
Terminator. Yeah, that's right.
Terminator and Terminator 2, right? Didn't he do
That's
Terminator
right.
2 as well?
Yep. The 2 good ones.
We just got to keep going back to that. I think we just have to remember when he's doing all this other stuff that's why he gets to do all this other stuff, because he gave us those things.
Sure.
And now we are going to have blue aliens forever.
Apparently.
Let's go. All right, Care of Tyler on Twitter. Netflix quietly began streaming HDR content last week. The only show for now is Marco Polo. I know that's on there. It keeps telling me I should watch it. I don't wanna, but they seem to insist that they think that I should watch it. I also don't want to watch that Narco program either, though I've heard that one's good as well. That's the only one that's got it right now. Daredevil will be getting it next, I guess, and there'll be shows on that later. They're offering both HDR10 and Dolby Vision with new small logo badges to indicate what you'll be watching. Currently, only Vizio and the 2016 LG model support Dolby Vision versions. Netflix recommends having a 25 megabit per second, whatever it is, internet connection. They say most HDR content uses about 18 megabits per second continuously.
Yeah.
But if your data rate drops, they will lower the resolution even down to 720p before disabling high dynamic range, which I think is, I like that. I like that.
I think that's the correct way to do it, because
I think so too. Wow.
A lot of people think of HDR as being the additional thing, so you might think, well, that's what they'll drop first in order to maintain 4K resolution. They're like, nope, we will drop resolution before we drop HDR, and I think that's the right way to go. I think you will visually notice HDR a lot more than resolution. I think you could happily watch 1080p HDR and probably not even know that it's not 4K HDR. So, yeah, but they do have new little logos, so like how the little badges show up next to things when it's 4K or when it's Dolby Digital 5.1. Now there's a little badge that'll show HDR if it is the HDR10 version.
For 5.1? Where's the badge? There's a badge?
5.1 thing, yeah. Well, I watch on my Xbox One. I notice it there. It's a little 5.1 indicator.
Where?
But
like the whole time you're watching something?
No, like when you click on an individual episode and
title. Okay, that. I was like, wait a second. Am I missing 5.1?
No,
I thought it was like some sort of like watermark in the corner or something.
No, if it's in Dolby Vision, it has the little Dolby Double D logo with the word Vision printed right next to it. So it should be pretty clear what you're watching. So yeah, HDR is for HDR10, and the Dolby Vision logo is for Dolby Vision. So there you go.
I like it. All right, Panasonic's HD Blu-ray player, the DMP UB900.
Yes.
Anyways, that'll cost $800, and it's the first player to receive Ultra HD Premium certification. What does premium mean?
That is the whole Ultra HD Alliance. All it essentially means is that it's adhering to all the specs that they said. Dolby Vision is not among those specs, so it must support HDR10, but the Samsung already does that, so I have no idea how a Blu-ray player would not live up to Ultra HD Premium specs, because that would literally mean it's not able to send something that is on the disc out of the player, so I don't know. This doesn't really seem like a reason to pay twice as much. But Panasonic's big claim to fame is they supposedly have much better chroma processing. That's their whole thing, so they're like, well, if it's a 12-bit Dolby Vision signal, they'll do a better job of down converting that to 10 or 8-bit, whatever your display can support. That's what they're saying. I don't know, twice as much. The Samsung's still looking nice at $400.
All right, so if you weren't a fan of paying $99 a year for Amazon Prime, you can now pay $9 a month for strictly Prime Video, or $10.99 a month for full Amazon Prime.
Which makes no financial sense.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Maybe my math's off.
Nope, I don't think so.
Let me wait a second.
Now, if you do the Prime Video only, they do give you 1 month free. So ultimately, that works out to the same price, because that would be 11 months at $9, which is the same as $99 a year. But if you pay $99 in one lump sum, you get all of Amazon Prime, including the free 2-day shipping and the music service, which wouldn't be included.
Service?
Yeah, there's a music service. So
I know that, but
there are people who don't want to pay the lump sum, so they're like, all right, just give us more money total, and we'll totally take it in 12 chunks instead of once.
It does make sense. I know there's like some people out there, they want to watch one specific show, so they'll buy a month, and they'll stream it. They'll just binge watch it and then drop it, which is fine.
It's coming up to Christmas time. You only want the 2-day shipping for 1 month, so $11 is a lot cheaper than $99. So yeah, there's reasons to do that. It's if you're not going to be using it all year. But if you are going to be using it all year, then you're essentially getting a discount by paying the lump sum.
Doctor Who showed up on Amazon Prime, and I was like stoked. So now the kids are watching it, and that's our new family show. We're watching that together. So that's cool, because I like Doctor Who. It's just corny enough, and it's a little scary, which I think, honestly, I think kids need that. There's too much these days. The crap they watch. I mean, I know that all dads say that. They're like, oh, when I was a kid, it was Buck Rogers and space vampires. There were space vampires, and Buck Rogers scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. You probably don't know anything about what I'm talking about right now, but take my word for it. Buck Rogers was the bomb when I was a kid. All right, comments from over the week. John has a correction. His surrounds. Which one was John?
I was having a hard time remembering this. Apparently, this was during the Hangout, and I didn't stick around at Hangout very long last week. So I should mention, after we do the recording session, we do a Hangout After Party. We post the links for that on Facebook and on my Twitter account. So
my
you can
G Plus account as well.
Yeah, Tom's Google Plus account. So yeah, you can just come and chat with us casually and other listeners. So yeah, John was there last week. So yeah, he was mentioning he's got surround speakers that are on shelves rather than wall mounted. He was asking how
right, and we were saying that he needed to lower. We were saying he should lower them.
Sure.
And Ray suggested that he use door stops.
Yeah.
You know, those little plastic rubbery door stops that you've seen forever. Use those, and then you on your shelf that you have your speaker on, you build a little lip so that it doesn't slide off.
Yes, that would be a very good idea. Don't entirely rely on friction.
Yeah, because his were way up towards the ceiling, I think, and that's what we said is that you should lower them back down. Yeah. Jonathan F has and he was also in the Hangout last week, which was nice to see. Jonathan has a tale of victory and woe. His wife decided that in addition to his dedicated media room, she'd like to have a TV in the bedroom for when the two of them went to watch different things at the same time. So, I mean, she's got a tablet, but apparently it's not the same thing. So, anyways. It isn't, I know, but still, I'll be honest with you, I do get irritated with trying to watch things on tablets. There's no good way to do it.
I don't want to have to hold my TV. Put the TV on the wall.
I kind of feel like there should be some sort of articulated thing that you just slap it to, and then just, you know what I mean? Like a mount.
Well, there are, but you'd have to mount that. I don't know.
Whatever. So anyway, so he got a TV. It's a 43-inch sharp LCD that has a Roku built right in. He says it's fantastically simple and convenient. He doesn't have to plug in anything other than the power, and his wife loves it. But Jonathan is dismayed. Mm-hmm. That's because he has tried to get his wife to care about audio and picture quality, but this Sharp is lackluster, and it can't even be adjusted. Like, you can't fix the picture. It's awful.
Apparently, yeah. I'm sure there's picture presets, but that's about it.
Yeah. The problem is his wife loves it. She's like, it's the best thing ever. He's like, but can't you see the picture, how bad it is? You know what?
The blacks aren't truly black. They're gray.
I told my wife the story, and he goes, I like her wife. I like his wife. She sounds amazing. I'm like, shut up. You care. You say you don't care, but you care. She cares. She says she doesn't care, but then she'll come in here and she'll be like, why does it look like that? I'm like, I don't know. It's a new thing. I'm trying to figure it out. And I have to go fix it. That's a thing. It happens.
Yep.
All right.
Well, convenience trumping quality. That's not uncommon.
All right. So I am trying to read these off my phone from a distance, so we'll see how well this works out. Oh, and my phone fell. All right. This is going to be fun. Nobody breathing here. You're gonna have to tell me what the guy's name is because I scrolled past it on accident.
Tony K.
Tony wants to move his Onkyo TX-NR646 receiver to his bedroom and replace it with a new receiver in his living room. Okay. He is currently using the Martin Logan SLM, or Slim, I guess, XL on-wall speakers and a Dynamo 700 subwoofer, which he's planning on replacing with dual subs at some point. But one thing at a time for now. He would like to eventually have Atmos and Ultra HD, but not right away. He knows that the prices on Onkyo receivers have dropped since they were recently announced the new models. The TX-NR646 now goes for $299 on accessories for less. I think he initially said it was $329, but I think it lowered itself again.
Yep.
I think it's
even cheaper.
They come in 6-packs now. Anyways, he's also considering the Denon AVR X2200W. One consideration is that the receiver has to go on a built-in shelf that is only 14 inches deep, so a lot of higher-end receiver models won't physically fit. So which receiver do we think he should buy? Anything at a higher price point that would work and be well worth spending more money on? First of all, the first thing I did is I checked out his speakers, and they have a 94 dB sensitivity.
Yeah, so they say.
But they're rated to 4 ohms. So... yeah, they are. They do say on there that they should be compatible with 8, 6, and 4 ohm receivers.
Sure.
He does not say how big his room is. Has he said how big his room? I haven't scrolled yet.
No, I mean it's a living room, so I'm guessing it's not tiny. But I don't know if it's like a large great room. I don't know how far away he's sitting.
And those are like on-wall speakers, if I remember correctly.
They are.
Right?
Yeah, they're very skinny. They're definitely
very thin little things that you just kind of place on your walls. Yeah, I guess the only thing I would be seriously worried about is how big his room is and how robust an amp section he needs for his with this receiver. Why do I keep getting noise going in and out on you? It's like that hum is there, and then
yes,
are you
I'm
muting yourself?
Muting myself if I need to like cough or clear my throat or something. So that's what's going on. Sorry, YouTubers.
Okay, I'm just very confused right now.
Mystery solved.
There we go. So physically, I mean, if you go with the bare wire connection, that's you're gonna be able to push your receiver all the way back. As long as depending on what kind of other things, but you might want to consider looking into right angle connectors as well for your whatever your sources are going to be.
Other plugs,
just so that you can get it in as tight as humanly possible. That being said, you do want to give a little air room around it, but usually that's around the top and sides, and not so much worried about the back. If this thing's not up against a wall too, you can always, I don't know what kind of cabinet you're putting this in, but you can always cut a hole. Just kind of slide it back.
I think it's more like it's a narrow shelf that's like right up on the wall. So
that's what I thought too.
I think that's what's going on there. So yeah, I mean, like the X2200 on Accessories for Less, I think it's going for $429 right now. It's over, it's definitely more than $100 more. Really, the only reason to go between the Denon 2200 and this Onkyo NR646 would be if you really want Odyssey. It's Multi-Q XT on the 2200 versus Onkyo's Accu EQ, which by all accounts isn't that great, and you might end up not using it at all. So it's mostly for the room correction. Also, the Onkyo, only 3 of its HDMI inputs are HDCP 2.2 compatible, whereas all 7 of the 2200s are HDCP 2.2 compatible. But if 3 inputs are enough, and right now it would be. There's really only one source out there right now in the form of an Ultra HD Blu-ray player you'd be taking up. So those are about the only differences between those two. So if the decision is between the 2200 and the 646, in this particular case, I'd probably lean towards the 646 just because of price. Like, if that's the aim, is to get as low a price as possible, you're not getting a whole lot out of the 2200 other than Odyssey. That's the big, thing that you have to decide if you really want. Yeah. If you're going to go considerably more expensive, then, he says he'd like to maybe do Atmos at some point in the future. And in my opinion, if you're going to do Atmos, you want a minimum of 9 speakers. So that automatically gets you to a much more expensive price point. Now, both of these, the 646 from Onkyo and the 2200 from Denon, they can both do Atmos and DTS:X eventually. Neither of them has got the firmware update yet, but both say it's coming. So they're both compatible with the immersive formats, and they can both do a 5.1.2 speaker setup. So it's not that you can't do it at all. It's just you can only do it with a 7-speaker maximum with either of those. So if you went to a 9-speaker setup, you'd be looking at the Denon 4200 or the Rant 6010.
That might be enough for him though, because if this is in the living room, and he might not have any room for back speakers anyway.
It could be. Yeah.
So in which case he'd just be looking for something overhead. In which case that would be fine. I don't know. If you haven't had a problem driving these speakers before with these other...
he was using them with his 608, so...
It certainly seems to me that you could just go with whatever one you want. My personal opinion is that Odyssey is going to... Depends on what your setup is in there.
Yeah.
But if your room is really reflective and there's all sorts of stuff, then don't worry about Odyssey. But if you can dial it in a little bit, if that could make a difference, it could very well be worth it. But you haven't told us enough about your room for us to know for sure.
Yeah. So looking at those more expensive ones I mentioned, like the X4200 from Denon or the SR6010 from Rant, they're both just shy of $1,000 on Accessories for Less. So we're talking about, more than double, 3 times more than the Onkyo. That does allow you to get to 9 speakers ultimately, but both of them are deeper than 14 inches, although they're just a little deeper than 15 inches. So I'm guessing the feet could probably still fit on the shelf, but it might be just a little nub of a front foot sitting on the front of that thing. So
get a little piece of plywood, slide it right in there, and then
extend the shelf a little bit. Yeah.
Just extend your shelf. That's not gonna. All right. Anyways, hopefully that helps. I'm not sure it does.
I hope
right
so,
angle connectors is going to be your friend in this case, and bare wire connections for your speakers as well.
Yeah.
If you haven't had a problem driving those things in that room, then I'm not going to worry about it that much.
Right.
Because reasons. All right, Michael is building a small dedicated home theater, is considering a 90-inch diagonal elite screen with an Epson 5030 projector.
Okay.
90 inches, he must be thinking about either a pull down or motorized, because they don't come in 90 inches, at least on the Amazon, unless you're buying like a customized one.
Well, Elite doesn't make custom anymore.
If buying one of the other models that I'm because on the ones that are on Amazon are the cheaper ones are like 92.
It'll be 92,
size.
yeah.
92, 100, 120, 135. I don't know why 92 is in there like that.
Yeah.
It just is.
It always is.
Anyways, do the layout of the room and the positions of soffits and the wiring. He's looking at about 11.5-foot throw distance, but would be much more convenient. The projector could be off-center and closer to the corner. He's thinking it would be shifted at least 18 inches to one side.
Okay.
1.5 foot. All right. He knows the Epson 5030 has a horizontal lens shift, but he's concerned that using a lot of horizontal lens shift might degrade the picture quality. Should he be worried about this? And if it does degrade the picture quality, how much? Lens shift shouldn't degrade the picture quality at all. No. It just moves it. Like physically moves
it. Yeah. There are limits to lens shift. Like you can't use the maximum horizontal while simultaneously using the maximum vertical. It's basically like an octagon shape that you can make. If you think about like moving the lens all around the perimeter of as far as it can shift up, down, left, and right, it ends up forming like an octagonal shape. But other than that, anywhere within that range, the light is going through the same lens, so it doesn't degrade. It's not the same as keystone correction.
That's what I was going to say. You're thinking of keystone correction, where you're firing off to the side, so it's like smaller on the side, close to the projector, and bigger on the side, like, further away. So you keystone it to make it rectangular again, and that is a processing thing. And
that is actually turning off some pixels to get you back to a rectangular shape, which means you have to scale the whole thing, and you're not using all the pixels that are on the panel. So keystone correction definitely affects the image, but lens shift really doesn't. So
lens shift is
quite safe. And as far as the range of lens shift on the 5030, basically what you can do is, if you have the 5030 completely centered in the screen, that's your starting position, you can take the 5030 and move it all the way over to in line with the left or right edge of your screen, and then still cast the image just using lens shift. So you easily have more than 18 inches. If it's a 90-inch diagonal, I forget how wide that is, but it's well more than 18 to either side. So you've got a lot of lens shift range on that 5030. You will be absolutely fine doing this.
I should remember how big my screen is, but I don't. I measured it I measured it dozens of times, I think, to make sure.
Let me do the quick math here in the
background. No, don't do the math. All right, anyways. Jim on Facebook, and he doesn't want his pictures displayed. I don't know why, because his room is perfectly reasonable, I think. And I like, is it the guy with the blue room?
Nope.
I'm thinking of a different guy. I had some problems opening some of these. Anyways.
Well, this what you'll remember, Jim. Jim was the fellow who was going to build a dedicated room in his attic, and it was that tiny little space where the slope of the roof was going to be his back wall, and it was a really tiny space, and we were saying, like, the number one thing, if you can, is increase the size of this space. And he's done it. That's exactly what he did.
All right. Jim greatly expanded his original attic space for his theater and went up with a 10 by 18 by 8 foot room, with the slope portions of the roof line being the front and back walls.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you think in pitched roof, then the pitch part of the roof is now your front and back wall, and then he's lengthwise 18 feet from front to back.
All right, his equipment is a mismatch of different brands, but his goal was to put it all together for as little money as possible, so buying used was his best option. He's happy to swap out components as funds and deals pop up.
Sure.
So what he's got right now, if I can scroll this, Cerwin Vega fronts, Polk surrounds and backs, center pieced together from Pioneer and Bose parts.
That's what he said.
2 times Insignia subs with 10-inch drivers replaced by punch car audio drivers. Whoa. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, when he says Frankenstein, he really means Frankenstein. He wasn't messing
around. Yeah. All right, so that means that Pioneer and Bose parts, he must have built a box and taken the drivers out or something.
Well, I think it was the box from one and the drivers from another. I'm not exactly sure which was which, but that's what I'm guessing anyway.
Anyways. So Denon S700W receiver powering it all. NEC M30. What the heck? NEC M311X projector.
Yeah, it's a business class projector.
All right, with a broken motorized screen, which is now DIY mounted.
Yep. And in his pictures, the screen is very wavy, but he's like, "Don't worry about that. That was before he got it all like properly in the frame, so it's not.
See,
it's not actually.
This
all
room's
wavy
not
like
blue.
that.
This room's not blue. You're telling me it's not blue?
Oh well, it might be blue. There's a that I forget. I'm sorry. I apologize to the fellow who had the blue theater that we really really love that lots of people have commented on. So I thought.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking this.
No, this room is also blue. Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay, and he's got like his surround backs or something like that installed in the wall or something like that.
Yeah, so his surround back speakers, since he has the sloped roof
right.
In the front and the back, he's using the slope of the back, and he's got in-wall surround back speakers, but they're in that slope, so they're angled down
towards
basically
him, yeah.
firing at his seat. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can see there's like the wire is still like run up the wall. I think he painted it. It's run up the wall to get to it, which I was like, you know what? I think this room looks fine. Frankly, I think it looks fine. Yeah, I think he did a good job. Anyways, he said his current setup is just him taking a stab at getting everything set up so far. Like his take on what he's done so far and any advice we have on positioning or tweaks, since he's looking to just get the most out of the gear he already has. He's currently sitting 10 feet from a 100-inch screen with about 1.5 feet to the slope back wall behind him.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to try to open this thing. So you talk.
Okay, so I mean, the number one thing that I could come up with is he's not using like an acoustically transparent screen or something like that, which is completely reasonable. And given that the room is only 10 feet in width and he's using a 100-inch screen, it's taking up most of the, it's definitely taking up most of the space, and he can't put the screen flat against the front wall because the front wall is also sloped just like the back wall. So that's why he's lost some of that distance, while the floor space might be 18 feet from front to back. Once you stand up, the distance is shorter because of the sloped roof at the front and the back. So what he's done is he's put all three of his front speakers below the screen, which is essentially the only place he can put them. That's completely reasonable. But the center speaker right now, first of all, I would say, if the center speaker is this mishmash of Pioneer and Bose parts, I'm guessing it doesn't sound the same as those Sherwin Vega fronts. I'm almost wondering if you'd be better off just without a center speaker.
I don't think I think it's not really parts. I think because I'm looking at the picture now. If you look at this picture, there's the two black speakers on the very outside, right? I think those are the Sherwin Vegas, and then the lighter speakers I think are the Pioneer, and the one on the floor I think that's the Bose. So I think those three are somehow all giving him the same content.
Maybe.
That's what I'm thinking is happening here.
I'm not entirely sure. In any case, to me, the number one thing that sticks out is his center speaker. And he's also got the center speaker, the horizontal one, if that's the only one you're using or if it's combined somehow with the other two, I'm not sure. But it's right on the floor, which is not the end of the world. He does have it angled up. But, I mean, it's right on the floor. And then the two Sherwin Vega bookshelves serving as his front left and right are, quite low. So I would maybe angle your front left and right speakers up a little bit so that they are also aiming at your face, because it's perfectly fine.
Angles. Those aren't angled? They're on little stands.
They're on little stands. I don't know if they're angled. The trick of just using some rubber door stops would totally work here, just to angle them up a little bit. So there's nothing wrong with having your front left and right speakers below your screen, particularly when that's really the only place you can put them. But I would angle them just so that they're aiming right at your face. If there's some way to raise that center speaker, or maybe just try a phantom center, honestly, because I'm guessing that doesn't timbre match with the front left and rights. But that's my first thought, is that front soundstage, I think, could be tweaked. No cost to that other than maybe buying some rubber door stops.
Yeah, you might be able to take that receiver you have and just put it, boost it up a little bit, and then take your center channel and take it from the top of your... I don't know if it's a DVD player. There's an Xbox, a DVD player, and it looks like a tape deck.
Yep,
so
that looks right.
If you move the Xbox over a little bit and then raise up the receiver, then you could put the center channel across the top of both of those.
Oh, I see, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have to go back to what the question was to begin with, but
sure. He's just saying anything he can do that for essentially no money to just improve the system, based on the way he set things up.
Well, honestly, I'm wondering if those surround back speakers are really adding all that much, because he's got they're basically on top of him. They're almost, I would almost say that if you have the option eventually of going Atmos, that you would make those your top speakers or whatever they are, because they're really not surround backs. They're too high, and you're almost sitting on the back wall anyways. So your surrounds are right to your left and right there. So, I wonder how much benefit you're getting from those. You might try just turning those off for right now until you can get a receiver that does Atmos, and then use those for your top middles. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I would do. So if you're looking to upgrade, obviously your subwoofer situation is is woefully inadequate with the Insignia.
I mean, he's said he's quite happy with it. He's got these punch audio drivers. He's like, hey, they rumble, they play low. He's happy with them. So
all right, good then. Then if your receiver might be your next thing to do, other than just getting whatever. But it would give you the option of doing Atmos and all that. So hey, if you like the way it sounds, it's fine. That's what it comes from. And I don't know a single enthusiast that didn't start with the Frankenstein system. So welcome to the club, dude. That's where we all started off at. I had a Bose center channel. It was an outdoor speaker. All right, that was my center. I had Panasonic speakers for my mains, I think. And there was something I had for surrounds that ended up being ripped. One of them was ripped. Got rid of those, put the Panasonics in the back, and ended up marrying into Infinity speakers for the fronts. And then, over time, just eventually got enough money to get a whole system. So, hey, this is how we all start off, dude.
For the next step I would take, aside from just tweaking that front soundstage placement a bit, this will cost a little bit of money, but come look at some DIY absorption panels, because I think the place I would start in this case would be behind his seat. I think having that sloped ceiling right behind you there, and that's a hard flat surface that he's got right now. There's nothing behind that chair at all besides the hard flat wall, and it's angled. So I'm guessing you're getting some reflection off of that. You could probably clear up the way the dialogue sounds a little bit if you got rid of some of the reflection that's coming off that wall right behind you. So I just look into getting some insulation. He has posters up around the room, so maybe look at Spoonflower, getting something printed on some fabric, and you can make it look real nice. It wouldn't look the least bit out of place.
I would just get blue fabric, dude.
Yeah.
I would get blue fabric that matches your room, and that would be it. That's the only thing I would do. I wouldn't do any of that other stuff. I mean, you can. You can, but it's going to cost a lot more money, and blue fabric is cheap, and getting stuff printed is not. So, yes, room treatments would be a way to go. But again, for no money, other than just sort of raising up that center channel, I don't really know what else you can do. You don't have a lot of options as far as moving them.
No, but I mean, other than that, I think he's done a pretty darn good job in this space. So,
Yeah.
Better than most people. Most people don't have a 100-inch screen, so you're already way ahead of the game.
You're way ahead of the game right there. Jefferson is adding a second pair of SVS SB13 Ultras for a total of 4 in his room. He was one of our listeners of the week.
That's
right. He'll be connecting them to his Marantz AV7702 Mark II via XLR cables.
Okay.
All right.
That is a pre-pro.
That's what I was going to say. It must be a pre-pro.
It is.
His Marantz has 2 subwoofer outputs. How should he distribute the connections? All 4 subs to one output, or a pair of subs to each output? Well, the way he's got his room laid out, if I remember correctly, is it looks like he's got, because it's a really big and open, right? It is.
This is a great room. It is very much open.
Yeah. So he's got 2 on the front wall, and it looks like the next 2 are going to be flanking his couch.
That is right. Yeah.
So I would take the 2 that are flanking my couch and connect them to one subwoofer output, and the 2 at the front of the room and connect them to the other 2. That's just for distances.
Yeah. Now it's a little bit tricky because we're going to delve into the whole rigmarole of this in a little bit. But I wanted to address his situation specifically first, because he has the Marantz AV7702 Mark II, which does have Odyssey Mult EQ XT32 with sub EQ HT. So you've got a fair amount of processing for your subwoofers at your disposal, just in what you have in that AV processor. So what Tom said is correct in that, physically, the 2 subs that are going to be at the front of his room are going to be equidistant from the primary listening position, and the 2 subs flanking the couch will be physically equidistant. But audio-wise, sound wave-wise, they might not be the same distance in the sense of delay, because when you're setting distances in your AV processor or your AV receiver, what you're really setting is the delay. And that, because he's got such an open room, and essentially it's his, if you're not able to see the images on YouTube that I've got posted on my screen share right now, he's got his kitchen, dining room over to the left, he's got a bar behind him, and then his living room area, which is his theater area, is sort of like the front right corner of this total open space.
Yeah, it's and then it's just along the hallway, and it's open to other stuff. So
yeah, so
it's a huge space.
If you're willing, you can use the first part of, or actually you'll have to kind of go through the Odyssey setup. But if you're willing to put in a little bit of time, what you could do, because what you really want to first get is all 4 subs level matched. That's actually one of his questions kind of later, is how to do that. But you want to get all 4 of your subs level matched, and you want to at least get an indication of what the Odyssey microphone picks up as being the distances, also known as the delays, for all 4 of the subs. Because what you're hoping to discover is that one pair of those subs, and it might not necessarily be the front pair, but you're hoping that one pair of those subs will come back with the same distances, and the second pair of subs will come back with the same distances. Because if they do, then you can just go ahead and use sub-EQ-HT, and it'll probably do a pretty darn good job. So what you can do is physically only connect one sub at a time. This is just the setup process. This isn't for the final, end result. But you just connect one sub at a time, run Odyssey, just tell it that you only have 2 speakers and 1 sub so that it doesn't take a very long time.
He could actually put 2 subs in there since they have individual subwoofer input, so he could do 2 at a time.
Well, no, what I'm saying is you want to find out what Odyssey says is the individual distance for every single one of these 4 subs.
Well, I'm saying, but it's got 2 subwoofer outputs.
It does.
It will measure them each individually.
Yeah, but if you connect the pair, like what you're saying is you're expecting that the 2 subs at the front of the room, if you measured them individually, would come back and say they have the same distances, but they might not because this is such an open room.
I agree. I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is that it will set the distances for each 2 subs.
But it will only set it for 2 subs. So if he's got 4 subs, he's having to connect 2 of them to each output, right? I'm saying you want to find out what each individual 4 subs says so that you can decide which 2 should be connected to each output.
No, I hear what you're saying, Rob. What I'm saying is that you don't have to run Odyssey 1 sub at a time. You can only run it. And get 2 subs and then just write down what the measurements are for the 2 subs that you have connected at any given time.
Okay.
So you connect 2 subs, 1 to each one. It'll give you a distance for each sub. Then you run it again, get the distance for those 2 subs, and then match them up as close as possible in the pairs of distances is where this is going.
Yeah. So that if that works out, so if it turns, and it might turn out that it's the sub at the front left of your room and the sub to the left of your couch. It might turn out that those acoustically end up with the same delay. That's not intuitive, but that might be the case because this is such a wide open space and these sound waves are bouncing all around the room before they reach the microphone. Long, deep sound waves. So what you want to do is find out what all 4 subs individually, what their distances are, what their delays are, and you can use Odyssey Sub-EQ-HT to do that. Now, if you don't have Sub-EQ-HT, if you're someone else and you're using a different system to do this, you can still do that process 1 sub at a time, use your, whatever room setup you have, because they all set the distance for that. And that's sort of your starting point. Using Sub-EQ-HT, it will also get you to adjust each sub, and you're only doing 1 at a time right now, or, the 2 separate. You're not connecting all 4 right now at this beginning phase. It will get you to adjust their volume dials before you even start so that they will all end up being level matched that way. So if you do this process, you'll be level matched thanks to Sub-EQ-HT, and you'll have written down what the distances are. Then if you discover that one pair of them are very close in the distance and the other pair are also very close in the distance, now you can just connect the 2 subs that have the same distances to one subwoofer output and the other 2 subs that have similar distances to each other to the second output, run Odyssey with Sub-EQ-HT, and you'll actually be in pretty darn good shape. But that's only if that happens to be the way things work out. So, there could be more to this. Are you there, Tom? Tom has frozen on my side of the screen, so I don't know if he's able to hear me and to talk to us right now. Sorry, folks, if you're watching the live broadcast, I'm just waiting for Tom to come back online, so treading water here for a little while. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and start back up. I'm sure Tom will log back on here in a minute. I'll leave a couple of seconds in between here for editing purposes, and then I'll carry on with the question. So in Jefferson's case, that's hopefully going to work just using what he has at his disposal in the AV7702 Mark II. But for everyone else who doesn't have as sophisticated and automated, subwoofer setup routine, you're going to have to come at this manually, and it might end up being the case for Jefferson that he has to come at it manually too. If it turns out that all 4 of those subs end up with considerably different delays, then that's an indication he's not just going to be able to connect 2 subs to one output and the other 2 subs to the second output and allow sub-EQ-HT to handle things. So Jefferson actually does have a mini DSP. He's currently not using it, but he has it in hand. It's the balanced version of the 2-in 4-out, which is essentially exactly what he needs. He can either use both subwoofer outputs from the 7702 to feed the 2 inputs, or you could just feed a single mono subwoofer input to the mini DSP and then allow it to do all the processing for all 4 subs using the 4 outputs that the mini DSP offers. So over on Audioholics, Gene Della Sala actually quite recently did something very similar in his setup. He says he's using 5 subwoofers, but really what he's got are a pair of very large towers up front, Status Acoustics towers that really do genuinely play down to below 20 hertz, another pair of subwoofers on the sides of his room, and then he's added a third, separate subwoofer at the back of his room. So when a single front tower in Gene's system plays, so if it's the front left tower is playing plus the other 3 subs, that's essentially 4 subs. If the front right tower plays plus the other 3 subs, that's essentially 4 subs. So that's what's going on in Gene's system, and he details somewhat. He doesn't quite break down the step-by-step process because it's very complicated to do this manually. It's a heck of a lot of trial and error, and you're going to have to be able to measure. So you'll want to get Room EQ Wizard, and you'll want to get yourself a microphone. We highly suggest the UMic 1, and we suggest getting it from Cross Spectrum Labs so that it's calibrated against a reference level microphone, and you'll get very accurate measurements from that. So hit up Cross Spectrum Labs, get yourself a UMic 1, download Room EQ Wizard from the Home Theater Shack for free, and you can do your measurements. So the sort of way that Gene did this, because essentially there's no way to truly predict how this is going to come out. If you have a perfectly rectangular room, you can just rely on good placement, which is 1 sub in each corner or 1 sub at the midpoint of each of the 4 walls. In a rectangular room, that's going to work out because the math is just perfect for that in terms of how the sound waves are going to interact. But in an oddly shaped room, in a wide open room with the theater offset the way it is in Jefferson's setup, there's really no way to predict. So the way that Gene came at it was he would set the first pair of subwoofers. He would just take, the 2 that are diagonally opposite, or it doesn't really matter. You just start with a pair of subwoofers. And you start measuring in your primary seat and maybe 1 other seat, just so you have a frame of reference, because ultimately what your goal is to get uniform response across all of your seats. And then once you have uniform response, you can apply a global EQ to all 4 subwoofers to get it linear. So if there's any remaining small peaks and dips, but those peaks and dips are uniform across all 4 seats, you can fix that at the very end with a global EQ. But first we have to get to uniform. So Gene suggests you start with 2 subwoofers, you start in the primary seat and 1 other seat, and you measure. And when you have subs like the SP13 Ultras, those have all variable phase built right into them. Or you can use a unit like the Mini DSP, which allows you to set separate delays for each of the 4 outputs. So either method will work. What you're going to be doing is essentially just changing it, maybe change it, 5 milliseconds at a time or 10 milliseconds of delay at a time. That would equate to changing it, the distances approximately, 5 or 10 feet.